comes great responsibility. Mojo 50.
And crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Americanuck Radio. News, opinion, and a little irreverence from both sides of the 49th parallel. This is Americanuck Radio with Mike Filip.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Americanuck Radio on Mojo 50 WBM 324. We've got Greg freaking Meakin with us back here today. I talked to him an hour ago and I said, "Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you till we go to air. I don't want you to wreck it." And he said the weirdest thing. He said, "I'll be waiting for your call like an old Montreal girlfriend." I can't think of a nightmare worse than an old Montreal girlfriend. Greg, why would you put that picture in my head? Old Montreal girlfriend. Why you do that?
Have you unmuted me yet, Mike?
No, you're still on mute. I'm just presuming to answer you correctly. Did I hit it?
I can't get started with a show with you, Mike, without you cracking up, man. It's like a habit. It's unbelievable. It's like a bad habit. I gotta laugh at Mike Filip here to open the show. It's funny, dude.
Well, you're too serious. That's your biggest problem. Greg freaking serious Meakin. Hey, you know what? We should probably we better do your intro before you get all shirt.
Please do, man.
Yeah.
You're pre-dementia, man. You're pre-dementia. Play my intro, man.
Fine.
Author Greg Meakin nails it. The border catastrophe, gas prices, and runaway inflation, the education mess. Greg sorts it all out and offers Greg's List solutions. Now presenting Dueling-Citizens with Greg Meakin.
Dueling-Citizens with Greg Meakin is brought to you by Americanuckradio.com and Pfizer. I'm just kidding. We don't have that kind of sponsorship around here. Now I'm going to get sued like Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump. Boy, I hate the news. I do. I can't stand it. But you know what? Fine. Let's wade into it today. Let's talk about things that have been happening. I am somebody, Greg, that I spent a lot of time reading my Bible, and I was in prayer this morning, and I got out and I started scanning some headlines. And it's funny because I always, when I was a kid, I thought about things that I had heard about in history and how societies rise and fall, empires, and they crumble, and it seems like they're large and in charge, and then the rug gets yanked out from under them. And I always wondered, how does that happen? How does it happen? How does everybody go crazy? And now I have a front row seat to it. It's amazing. And I actually, I remember when I was a kid reading a story by Theodore Geisel, who is better known as Dr. Seuss. Do you remember him, Greg?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so he predicted a lot of things that came true, and it was just kind of an understanding of human psychology. But I was looking at, and because of you, thanks a lot, Greg, I opened a Twitter account. I didn't have one for a very long time. But you and Val and our good friend Pastor Rios were doing a live stream, and you wanted me to join it on Twitter, and I didn't have an account, so I thought, oh man, I hate Twitter, but I'll do it, fine, just because of these guys, right? And then I couldn't get in on it anyways, so now I have this useless Twitter account. But I opened it up this morning and just kind of glanced at it. I don't do that very often. I'm not very active on it. But what I noticed is that all of a sudden, there's all these people with a blue check mark next to their name. and it's like Star Fox 973 with a blue check mark, right? And I remembered the story of the star-bellied Sneetches, okay? Now, here's how this went down, Greg. Tell me if this doesn't sound like Twitter. There were, on this island, these giant bird creatures called Sneetches, okay? And half of the Sneetches had a star on their belly, okay? The other half didn't have one. And the Sneetches that had stars on their belly, they despised the Sneetches, in the words of Dr. Seuss, without stars upon thars. That's what he wrote. And so the star-bellied Sneetches would have parties, and they would not let the unstar-bellied Sneetches into their parties and things like that. Then a resourceful fellow named J. McMonkey McBean moved into town. And J. McMonkey McBean built this wonderful machine that, for a price, the Sneetches without stars upon theirs could walk through the machine and they would get a star on their belly. Okay? And are you following, Greg?
Oh, I'm with you, man. This is a blast. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, and so, but they had to pay for it, okay? And so all of a sudden, all of the Sneetches had stars upon theirs. And the formerly starless ones were like, hey, we're just as good as you guys now. And we can come to your parties and now we can hang out because we're all equal. Well, the star-bellied Sneetches, formerly that were exclusive club, they didn't like that at all. They didn't like the idea of not being better than everybody else. So they paid J. McMonkey McBean to retool his machine and walk through it and to remove their star. Now they had none, and they still thought they were better than everybody. So J. McMonkey McBean kept retooling the machine, and sooner or later the Sneetches realized that they were all getting ripped off and that they were all actually equal to begin with, and they left town. And he left town with a big he took all their money with him. And that reminds me of Elon Musk charging $8 for a blue check mark on Twitter.
Ugh. The blue check mark on Twitter, man. That's the social credit program of social media, man. Yeah, you're good. You're a good person.
It's funny, hey?
It's the weirdest thing, Mike. It means nothing. But apparently it means something. I think there's a lot more symbolism that works with people in their brains than you'd think, because I don't get that at all. But anyhow, as usual, I don't get it, man.
It's funny that it would be important to somebody to have a blue checkmark verification, like it actually means something. Like now I'm somebody. Because,
right. Seriously. People love to belong, Mike. They love to belong. I mean, it starts with the Cub Scouts. Let's not go there, but they love to belong, and they love to have meaning, and they love to be recognized. Goodness gracious, ask baby boomers sometime. They love trophies and blue ribbons. They like to have their name on the best employee of the month. So blue check mark is right in the wheelhouse of baby boomers and even seniors there, Mikey.
Yeah, but back then you had to earn the trophy and you had to earn right? Now they give them to everybody.
Oh, don't get me started on participation trophies. I still remember we talked. It was episode 32, by the way, today. But way back, we talked about. I thought the socialist rules of the Canadian Football League. I loved it. The outstanding Canadian player. You have to produce a trophy for the outstanding Canadian, because otherwise the American's going to win the most valuable player. It's almost like content. Remember CBC Canadian content?
Yeah. Same
thing. Participation trophies, man. Down in the States, seriously, hopefully the markets prevail. The markets decide. Again, that's another conversation for another day, but goodness gracious, participation trophies are so yesterday. I hope we get back to, as a society, merit-based everything. If you're good, you get paid. If you're not, you get fired. Here you go, right?
That's it. Chat over in the live chat on Rumble said, it's funny how perception makes something real. Yeah, Karl Rove once said, who was affectionately known as Turd Blossom by President George W. Bush, he said, perception is reality. Yeah, and you know, in people's minds, they can, if they can be delusional enough, they will believe anything, and the world around them they'll see it that way. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. Look at that. Val Olson, Madeline, Eddie in Toronto. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to get into dumb headlines today. It's something that I don't do very often. But, there's like Canadian violence going on in Florida. There's a woman attacked her neighbor with a hockey stick and told him, and this is like the ultimate slam of all time, Greg, she said, go back to Mexico and eat a burrito in Mexico. Wow. Burn! Florida woman arrested, captured on a Ring camera, having a violent confrontation with her neighbors. When the Lake County Sheriff's Office responded to the scene, they spoke to a man who said his son was shot at close range in the face with a Nerf gun by his neighbor's son. So he walked over to have a conversation with the boy's mother, 41-year-old Heather M. Shunk. I'll tell you what, when my kids were young, if the neighbor kid shot him in the face with a Nerf gun, if they came to me upset about that, I would laugh at them, first of all, and what I'd do is I'd tell them to get a paper route and buy a bigger Nerf gun and shoot them right back in the face. But
Exactly.
yeah, right? Daddy's got to go over there because I got shot in the face with a Nerf gun. Inside Lake then writes, Shunk was belligerent, told the man she was not in the right mental state to talk to him. And if a woman ever tells you that, you just walk away right now. But he didn't. And so he has to speak with her husband. Big mistake. He told LSCO. Shunk became aggressive, and they proceeded to have a verbal altercation. And that's when things got serious. Her husband came out, and the man's wife walked up and joined the altercation. Shunk's husband then got in the man's face in a threatening manner while Shunk grabbed a hockey stick from the garage. Oh, Canada. And then the man got into an argument with Shunk's husband and pushed him. Shunk swung the hockey stick at the man, hit him in the arm. She then went for a baseball bat and take me out to the ball game, swung it at the man and his wife. And that's when she uttered the words, go back to Mexico and eat a burrito in Mexico, which automatically upgraded it to a hate crime. Greg?
Oh, dude. This is a real news story?
That's a real news. It's on rawstory.com.
The lesson I get out of that is we were taught sticks and stones will break my bones. Okay, you're allowed to trash talk. Okay, you can trash talk even to people. You know, say go wherever you want. You're sticks and stones. But also, Nerf guns don't hurt you either. Okay, they don't hurt you. I'll show you what hurts you. You know, it's a hockey stick. But I can't believe that's a real story, Mike. I'm serious.
It's real, and it's happening all around you. Yeah, and it's funny because whenever you read that, I read 3 of them in a row, and they're almost always in Florida. Number one.
Sure.
Oh yeah, and I was reading another one. This woman, her last name was Ortiz, which makes me, that sounds pretty Latino to me, right? Ortiz. Perhaps I'm being prejudiced. I don't know. But she took a shovel to her neighbor's truck and told him, go back to Africa, little monkey. That's what she said.
Oh, yeah.
That's what she said. There's too much Hispanic on black violence. That was actually a thing back in the day. I remember covering a story. I think it was like, it was a long time ago. Larry Elder. You remember Larry Elder? He's still a Fox News contributor. And Yeah, but he was saying that when the Hispanics were moving into L.A., that they were having quotas for just going around randomly killing black people. Larry Elder said that. And he said that they called them La Miata, which means blackbird. Which, again, that's a really stupid insult. You're a bird. You're a bird. It would be so serious if it wasn't for all the shooting, but yeah, man.
Yeah,
Hispanic on black violence. It's got to end in our lifetime. It's got to end. Maybe the AI will take care of it.
Do you remember the comedian Freddie Prinze?
The what?
The comedian Freddie Prinze.
Freddie Prinze?
It's Prinze, P-R-I-N-Z-E or Z-E. P-R-I-N-Z-E. Freddie Prinze. He was a politically incorrect comedian, and he started, as so many people did, on the Johnny Carson show.
Okay.
But he said, I even shared this with one of your listeners the other day, everything's so politically correct right now, right? You can't talk trash about any other races or whatever. We used to all the time, Mike. But anyhow, Freddie Prinze. He says, hey, I'm busy this week. I'm busier than a set of jumper cables at a Puerto Rican wedding.
Yeah.
Right? And if you said that now, the FBI would come to your door.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. Yeah. I support
Mike,
that.
Crazy. By the way, before I forget, too, my pre-dementia, you in the pre-show, you called me Gregory, if I remember right.
Yes, Gregory.
You said, hey, Greg. Okay. I just want to let you know, and anyone who knows me knows this, only my mother was allowed to call me Gregory.
Was it when you were in trouble?
And that's when she was pissed off.
Gregory
at me, right?
freaking Meakin, get down here right now.
And if you use the middle name, Scott, that's the end of the world, right? But the only time I hear Gregory, it was from my late mom, or shall we say policemen or attorneys. She has my driver's license. So just want to correct you on that. I'm Greg freaking Meakin, Mike. So let's get that straight, Greg.
Chet says eating an authentic burrito from Mexico is a good thing. Sign me up. Yeah, that's a horrible insult. I've known a lot of foreigners that they just didn't get the hang of trash talk. It was I worked with a Korean named Steve, and we were talking one time, and Steve the Korean, he says to me, "Eat the caramel, man," and I said, "Eat the caramel? What? You got some caramel? I'll have one." He's like, "No, that's a big insult in Korea," and I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty stupid." That's a big insult in Korea. Eat the caramel.
Caramel?
I said, how is that an insult? He said, because caramel is soft and it gums up your mouth and you can't talk anymore. And I'm like, oh yeah. Good one.
That's like calling someone a bird, right? Like a sparrow. Well, that's right. Caramel.
Eat the bird.
We were talking. We were joking earlier in the pre-show. Are Canadians really funnier than Americans? And I just joking. You just jogged a memory there. Trash talking, Mike. It's what we grew up with. And I don't want to be politically incorrect to anybody, but we didn't care. We trash talked everybody. And I always used to joke. When two old Canadian guys meet up after a number of years, the first thing they do, before they even shake hands, they trash talk each other. And usually involves their mother, perhaps their sister, maybe the grandma's not off limits. They trash each other because life should be humorous. And
we still do.
So,
we still do. I got a call this morning. Okay, listen here. Now, let me give you an example. Yes, Bo. I called you Chet. Sorry, if you got a problem, eat the caramel, man. I got a call this morning from a guy in a town called Bonnieville from a trucking company, and he had worked for another trucking company about 8 years ago or whatever that I had gone and done work at, and so he called me. This is an example of how Yeah, your guys are supposed to trash talk each other. It's not all the time,
sure.
but and there's limits on it, of course, right? But yeah, so this guy calls me and he says, "Hi there, I got your name from Harv Darowenka, and are you still working on heavy equipment?" And I said, "I don't work on heavy equipment, and I will never admit to knowing Harv Darowenka." And he says, "Oh, yeah, you'd never admit to that. You know, he was sick a little while ago, had the flu." I said, "Oh, yeah, is he all right?" And he says, "Yeah, I told him it was actually an STD." And we both started laughing, right? Because Harv's a great guy. We both like the guy, right? But see, when we both started trash talking Harv behind his back, we both knew that we were on the level. You know, it was like we were checking each other. Is this guy all right? Am I going to have to tell him to eat the caramel and go eat a burrito?
Sure.
But yeah.
I mean, Mike, who's not gone up to a fellow Canadian and say, "Hey, how's your wife and my kids?" Who hasn't said that? Right?
Your mother and I are disappointed in you.
That's right. You know, next time you want your wife, next time you want your wife to meet a real man, have him give me a call, buddy. Right? You know, whatever. It's mandatory.
That's old trash talk. That's like from Rocky 2.
Well, I'm old enough to go back to them. Those were the good old days, man. Oh yeah. Take no prisoners.
All right. You said you had some serious red meat today, and I'm a little tired.
Yeah,
I need a rest. I need a nap. So why don't we get into your serious news for a bit so I can doze off?
We need to get a little shut-eye. Let's listen to Greg talk, right? Two things, honestly, and I think I could do a segment of what bugs me, what bugs Greg. Because there are two things I really did, Mike. I just fell off my chair when I heard this. I listened to two pretty intensive podcasts this week, and it really bugged me. I listened to a gal named Sonia Labosco.
Never heard of her.
Labosco. Yeah, she's a retired air marshal.
Oh.
Okay? She's a retired air marshal, got into the air marshals, or at least because of 9/11, like so many people did.
Right.
She is basically a whistleblower, Mike, that no one's heard from yet. Okay? And the thing that bugged me is she talked about the January 6th quote uprising, right? January 6th. And this really bugged me. She had said the FBI, and I'm going to caveat this to kind of fact check the agency. I think it's the FBI. I don't think it was Homeland Security, but they ordered the flight manifests of including every individual who was on a plane and their personal info, every manifest for the entire Washington, D.C. area surrounding January 6th, meaning flights that came into Washington, D.C., flights that came in, okay?
Yeah.
It sounds fine. Okay, so now, by the way, the air marshals, they were never entitled to copies of the flight manifest from TSA. TSA, Mikey, well, this is a whole conversation. This is a corrupt, a terrible administrative organization. But anyhow, so the FBI, because they're going to start a big investigation around January 6th, of course, which seems to have been planned well in advance. They order all these flight manifests. And then what was disturbing to me is all these passengers were put into a database, a federal database, to eliminate them as suspects. Boom, there we go. Forget the First Amendment. Just forget we're in the United States right now. You're not allowed to do that. But it turns out, and you know how it always gets to be a point where there's always, no matter what, there's always one of these, ridiculous points of a certain thing. And I'm listening to these. I say, you mean to tell me the FBI has been following and investigating these people and eliminating them, and they have been following, I can believe this, they've been following a lady who is disabled, who is flying into Washington, D.C. to visit like her granddaughter or something. I think she went by the Capitol to take a peek and then went home. And they've been following her, and again, I'm going to caveat this, for like 2 years, to this day, and have not eliminated her. And so this kind of thing, unintended consequences, like this poor lady being followed by the FBI, unintended consequences of what we think we were doing to protect Americans, like, quote, the Patriot Act, or this nonsense. This FBI nonsense is crazy, Mike, with this invasion of personal privacy. This is out of control. But that really disturbed me.
You know, it'll turn into the star-bellied sneeches again, where you won't be cool if you're not on a list. You're not on a government watch list? What kind of loser are you? Eat the caramel and go to Mexico for a burrito. We got to do our commercial break, Greg. We'll be back right after this, everybody.
Sure.
Sometimes it's good to goof off a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Never apologize, Mike. It's your day, man. Relax.
I'm sorry, but I'm not one to apologize.
Okay, I am. I'm still Canadian. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for just being me.
Eat the caramel. We'll be back after this.
You want to wake up refreshed, like you slept on a cloud. Get yourself the very best in bedding supplies today. You deserve it. Go to MyPillow.com and don't forget our very special promo code, Mojo50, for incredible savings.
At Romika Designs, we're more than just a laser engraving and specialty design company. Much more. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs, and if you can dream it, we can probably make it. We can custom laser cut and engrave on nearly all material. Great for one-of-a-kind gifts, home decor, business and specialty items, or personalized and logoed designs created just for you or your company. Allow us to become your go-to gift and specialty project partner. Romika Designs can help make your ideas a reality. We're ready to help you design and create that special gift for any occasion or engrave your personal or business logo on just about any product. View our designs at romikadesigns.com or simply email us with your ideas. We specialize in custom design and would be honored to have the opportunity to discuss it with you. Call us at 817-400-4040, email info@romikadesigns.com, or visit us on the web at romikadesigns.com.
5 major food distributors have suffered explosions at food processing and storage facilities in the last few months. 20 more facilities have been destroyed by fires over the last 4 months. War in Ukraine drags on and holds the looming threat of nuclear escalation. U.S. inflation is officially reported above 8%. Mobs of people are whipped into frenzy by an increasingly unstable class of political elites. We live in interesting times. Political, economic, and financial collapse are all very real threats to our way of life. If the worst happens, make sure you and your loved ones are prepared with emergency food and supplies from preparewithmojo50.com. That's preparewithmojo50.com. Coffee lovers everywhere now have the opportunity to do their part to save the planet with Al Gore's lab-grown coffee substitute. We, here at Coffee Drinkers for Climate Change, believe this is a terrible idea. While man-bun-wearing, soy latte-loving poodle walkers everywhere are in love with the eco-friendly lab-grown sadness water, Coffee Drinkers for Climate Change want to see the sea levels rise. And for New York City to join the lost city of Atlantis, 12,000 leagues beneath the sea.
American Pride Roasters, historically great coffee. Every pot brewed is an eco-disaster 100 times greater than the Fukushima extinction level event. So order yours today and do your part to hasten the end of the planet. You don't want to live forever, do you? AmericanPrideRoasters.com. That's AmericanPrideRoasters.com.
How dare you?
We dare. We dare.
Flat Earth, the moon landing, JFK, 5G, Biden won the election. Hey, lovelies, does Does anyone have any new conspiracy theories? Because all the ones I know have come true.
We need more conspiracy theories.
Join me, Ria Bo, here on Sunday Long Live Radio, live every Sunday of the year, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard, 10 a.m. UK, and 9 p.m. New South Wales. I'll see you Sunday.
Americanuck Radio.
I would say the world's most underrated radio shows. Americanuck Radio. This guy, Mike Filip, is brilliant. I listen to him every day. Love your show. I really do. I'm a huge fan. Thank you for doing what you're doing.
No problem, Stu. Thank you, Stu Peters. Stu Peters, everyone.
Well, God loves the outlaw, but he doesn't love the sin. Well, God loves the outlaw, but he doesn't love the sin. Just open up your heart to Jesus, and he'll surely let you in.
Americanuck Radio.
Well, God loves the
Welcome back to Americanuck Radio. We've got Greg Eat the Caramel Meakin talking about Dr. Seuss books, Florida people, Canadian violence, air marshals, government watch lists. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I do Bible studies almost every day, and I love it. I do. I love it. I love getting into the Word of God. Today, I'm going to get into dumb news headlines with my good friend Greg freaking serious Meakin. He's mad about air marshals on watch lists. Things that Greg is mad about. I'm mad at South Koreans with bad insults. Don't get me started on the North ones. What was that?
You know, mad's not the right word anymore, because I think this seriously. I think you and I are kind of disengaged emotionally. I think bugs me is a better word. It just bugs me. You know, it's so much that we see all day long, and I agree. I think we should stay pretty light today, seriously. And don't forget, Mike, don't forget. And all the listeners out there, all you guys in the chat, I love y'all. All the regulars, and I just want to let you know, this is Mike's day on Friday. Mike is the most pastor guy, close to the word I know, Acts 2:38, one God man. But Mike has his Fridays where he exercises. Kind of like a little gymnasium. Exercises his knowledge. It's like you're not even in the room here, Mike. He exercises his knowledge. Mike Filip is one of the most well-versed guys politically when it comes to especially United States and Canadian comparisons. And I learn stuff from Mike Filip, and Mike Filip learns stuff from me. So if it's a couple of hours on a Friday, I really think, I mean this too, I like it that you bring that to the world, Mike, because I want that information from you. Seriously.
If you go to Americanuckradio.com, we posted a report that this generation, and this is funny because I've seen it in the church too. Business leaders are reporting that a good, not all of them, Greg, but a good portion of this generation, Gen Z they call it, born after like 97, they know everything. They know they have no life experience whatsoever. But they know everything. And they don't do anything, and they will confront you and challenge you on everything because they have Google and they know everything, but they have no life experience whatsoever. And so they're saying that like what they're doing now is going through people's social media and looking for like preferred pronouns and things like that, and they're less likely to hire somebody if they even think that they have some kind of feminist bent, let's say, or woke ideology, because they're hard to get rid of, number one, and they know everything right off the bat. I know people that, you know, I know a guy that was just baptized in Jesus' name 6 months ago, and he writes me these messages. correcting me constantly, and I don't say anything, but it's like, dude, go start a church while you know everything. Like, seriously, like, you've got to tell the world.
Hire a teenager while they still know it all, Mike. Hire a teenager. You know, it's not that liberals know everything. It's just that they know so much.
That is not so. Yeah. Well, Reagan.
If there's one thing, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm interrupting you. If there's one thing I wish everybody could learn, especially these kids. You know, I'm a generation guy, managing Gen Zs, the alphas who are younger than them. There's one thing I would love everybody generationally, and everybody on all sides of all aisles, is it's okay to be wrong, okay? You know, someone who can raise their hand and say, I'm wrong, there you go, I'm fixing it, rather than the desperation, the need to be right about everything. It's a desperation to be right about stuff, Mike, and the smartest people in the world, anyone will know this, at any age, in any generation, the smartest people in the world are the ones that go to someone who has more experience and knowledge, especially in a specific field, and say, I'm raising my hand, I know nothing, will you be my mentor and teach me stuff? The obsession to be right and the obsession to besmirch your opponent for any opposing views is out of control, Mike. It's out of control, and we are going to fix it. Fix this nonsense somehow. There you go. There's my rant of the day, Mikey.
That was a good one.
That'll end up on a clip on YouTube, man. You know,
probably. That's when I know I finally made it. Matthew says, the carnal mind is at enmity with God. Evil will always be in this world, not in my heart and in my mind, in Jesus' name. Yeah, that's good, Matthew. Good stuff. And, you know, that's the most rewarding part of all this, is watching people grow and get better over time, being a pastor. Yeah. You know what else is being a pastor? It's not just sermons. Let me give you an example. This is so awesome. Last night, my wife and I we just got into a conversation about somebody that we know, and then we ended up we went down to our room to go to bed, and all of a sudden, I felt to pray for them, and so I started praying, and my wife went into intercessory prayer. And if you've ever heard that, there's a lot of crying and talking in tongues, right. and all of a sudden we went into intercessory prayer for this individual. And when we got out, I had a text message on my phone. He had reached out to me to tell me that there was a horrible, horrible situation going on in their house at that time. And so God led us into prayer. You know, it's amazing because he's always, always, always watching. It is amazing living for God and being led by the Holy Spirit. It really is. And it's fun going into war for people and helping them get peace in their homes and seeing marriages brought back together and things like that. It's fantastic. So you're obviously mad about air marshals being on watch lists. What else you got for me, Greg?
What else bugs me? Here's what bugs me. I'm a huge Charlie Kirk fan, as you know. Love his network of Gen Z kids. Speaking of Gen Z kids around the country, But he had an amazing guest on, and I listened to the whole interview. Her name was Julie Kelly. And Julie Kelly was a columnist for a paper called the American Greatness. Anyhow, Julie Kelly is writing about the imagine this, the possible Trump indictment, right, over January 6th.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it really bugged me, Mike. Guess what? People might see, if they're not following it, there's a trial ongoing of 4 Proud Boys. Remember the Proud Boys? Oh, white supremacists. And according to Julie, Ms. Kelly, these 4 guys were surveilled long before January 6th.
Yeah.
embedded. She said, I think 8, again, this is her quote, 8 FBI agents were basically out there, just like the Gretchen Whitmer, remember that, the faux kidnapping thing? The FBI were out there basically surveilling these Proud Boys, and it's called entrapment, Mike, and kind of organizing to get to January 6th again, op-ed opinion here. And it turns out these guys are on trial right now. They're going after them for seditious conspiracy.
Right.
Okay, this is treason. Okay? They're going after these guys. None of these 4 guys even had a weapon. There was no assault. There's no physical assault, blah, blah. This gal, Ms. Kelly, had said if you really analyze the Proud Boys, you'll find that either you've got political guys with a drinking problem or drunks with a political activist problem. That's about it. They're not organized. They're not an overthrow organization. But anyhow, they're trying to get these guys on seditious conspiracy, because what they're going to then do is tie that charge, seditious conspiracy, to the indictment of Donald J. Trump. They're going to try and tie that type of crime or association to that crime, and they are shooting for an indictment through a good old Jack Smith, who's the special counsel, right? Special counsel Jack Smith, Mr. Objective, Mr. Impartial. Sure, yeah, right. No one in the Biden administration is anything but a puppet, and this guy is going to get an indictment of Trump. I said, well, what are the odds of that? What are the odds? 100% that Jack Smith will, this is according to her, Jack Smith will secure an indictment of Donald Trump, and probably one of the charges amongst many will be seditious conspiracy, which kicks him into the felony/treason category. They're trying desperately to not have him run for president, Mike, and it's not going to work. But how's that for disturbing, man? They're framing these 4 guys have been in jail for 2 years, or at least I'm not sure of all 4. 2 years, Mike. No bail. Yeah. 2 years. They're still sitting there during the trial, and it's insane, Mike. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, look, and here's the thing about entrapment. Okay, if you're trying to entrap somebody, you're trying to put them in a position where they're going to say something that's going to get them in trouble, right?
Right.
Now, if you are somebody that has the fear of God, you have a guard on your mouth, right? So, like, you wouldn't say, I'm going to murder a politician anyway, no matter who you were talking to.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
So, like, honestly, entrapment is unless they're just flat out making stuff up about you, they're getting you to entrap yourself, really. I mean, if that is the case.
Sure. I used to say, seriously, Mike, anyone can trap anyone in the world. I used to go to my fellow car managers. Remember the old car guy I am? And seriously, in the car, that you want to see a dog-eat-dog cutthroat business, right? The guys who get fired, guys get fired on the spot, blah, blah. It was a tough business. I used to say I'd take my buddies aside. I got one in particular, a buddy who I still am friends with after, 30, 40 years. And I said, dude, we're going to make a deal right now, okay? I'm a finance guy. He was a sales manager. We're going to make a deal. If we ever hear anyone backstabbing us or driving the bus over us, let the other know, okay? Because anyone, any manager, any politician, virtually any leader of any organization could be, quote, audited and fired in a second. I could go in and audit virtually any manager or any retailer out there, Mike, and I'll give you a half dozen reasons why to fire them if you really want to look, right? So the whole key is to know that and know that there is indeed, I'm going to call it frame-ups and frame jobs going out there, as they'd say in the old days. They're just framing people. They're putting stuff out there that's complete fabrications, and then running with it to try and discredit you. Nothing new under the sun, right? Been going on for thousands of years. But now it's affecting all of us, Mike, you and me and everyone listening. It's affecting all of us. And if we don't think so, check our gas prices, check our freedoms, check our, check bank accounts being frozen in the past. Check vax mandates. Check out the military guys who still haven't got back in the military, Mike, because they wouldn't comply to the vax mandate. Enough is enough is enough. And I hope the platforms like yours, like Val's, like Charlie Kirk's, are going to continue shouting this to the rooftops, Mike, shouting it to the rooftops that we need to make change.
You know, always assume that you're being watched, and always assume that you're being listened to at all times, no matter who you're talking to, no matter where you are, and because you are. I mean, like I, you know, that's one thing about getting close to God is that you're very aware that He's watching you, right? And so you're careful with your words, right? It doesn't mean that you can't joke around. You just don't be filthy, right? And don't be disgusting. But yeah, I mean, and this goes back to what I was like, you know, I remember a time, I've talked about this before, when people used to say, you know, you got to put a piece of black tape over your computer camera. Otherwise, Google's sending videos of you to the big brother. But see, this is my point. If you have it in your head that you're being watched and listened to, and every idle word that you speak is going to be taken in account at some point, it'll take care of that in the physical world as well, right? Right. You can't entrap somebody that isn't going to talk about breaking the law, right?
Correct. Unless you're with the Biden administration or the FBI, then it doesn't matter, Mikey. Come on, man. But it's true. If you behave yourself, there's a little rule of thumb, right? If you behave yourself, you likely won't get arrested.
You got nothing to worry about, yeah. Well, I mean, that's just
seriously.
Well, and even like getting so angry about it to the point where you're breathing threatening and slaughter against your political enemies, you're just playing into their hands.
Absolutely. You know, it's weird you mentioned, too, anything that you say publicly or whatever, assume you're recorded, assume you're surveyed. So one big thing for me to learn is just that any tap on your keyboard is a digital footprint. You know, I actually saw that. It's weird. You jarred my pre-dimension memory. A long time ago, I knew about a business situation where they hired a private investigator. Yeah. And it was for a corporate investigation. Happens a lot more than people know. Corporate investigations and spying between industries. Just ask our friend Gordon Kessler on that. He was an oil industry spy. Anyhow, I know of a situation where a laptop was given to, oh, God, great time for a laptop conversation, but true. A laptop from a fired employee was forensically audited. And I've never kind of seen that process before or whatever. Meaning they took the laptop, and this was from a major employee, like kind of a director thing, and they thought there was either corruption or some behind the scenes, so they audited his laptop. And I'd never seen a report come back from an audited laptop. And they do, Mike. I'm telling you what. This guy said, one Friday night they said, blah, 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 quote, unquote, and quote, unquote. And they pulled that out of the laptop forensically. And I'm going, wow, anything that person ever did on that laptop, and I mean anything, was pulled out forensically by this. So it's good for everyone to know. Assume you're being surveyed, assume you're being watched, whatever, and behave yourself. Seriously. It's a silly message, but it's a good message.
Yep. I had that rule in my... I've told you the story about how that border agent tried to get me to say, I should kill border agents because I had a shotgun in my car.
Yeah. That's entrapment. I mean, that's entrapment what he did.
But if I was stupid and had said, you know what I mean? Right. That would have been on me. Right?
Exactly. If there's a little message to go to everybody out there today, is what I used to tell my kids. Behave yourself. behave yourself. I said, we've talked about this so many times, right? Raising twins, right, Mike? I seriously remember the issues of talking to them about, police beatings and dealing with the police and so much stuff in the press about that. And I would just say to my kids, kid you not, I said, boys, this is not a racial thing, okay? This is not a black or white or anything. Because you kids, my boys, are as white as snow. Right? They're white, they're Caucasian, they're as white as snow. But if they misbehave with a cop or don't mind their manners or get physical or a jerk, it's highly likely they get their butts kicked, whatever race they are. There's a whole chapter in my book devoted to following instructions. Follow instructions. If you don't like what the situation was, like, quote, false arrest or whatever, follow instructions, behave yourself, and there are channels for you to pursue it. You have ambulance chasing attorneys where if you've been wronged by anyone now in any way, they'll represent you and debate from there. But don't debate by yelling at a cop or getting physical or stupid. Just behave. If there's one message, is just behave ourselves here, right? Just behave ourselves.
Yeah, don't walk in. I mean, and if you read your Bible over and over again, it warns over and over and over again about entrapment. Read the book of Proverbs. My son, be careful around women, right? Like it's. By the way, I'm glad to hear that your children are white as snow. I'd have some serious questions if I was you if they weren't. But become unentrappable, right? By watch your mouth.
Seriously.
Amen. Pray.
Seriously.
Yeah.
If you drive the speed limit, you won't get a speeding ticket. I guarantee you. And if you do, you can get the cop for entrapment. It's just play by the rules, follow the rules. Do unto Caesar that which is Caesar, but keep your life with God, period, every single day. Wake up in kindergarten every day, Mike. There's so much to learn and so little time, because before you know it, you're in grade 1. So just enjoy every single day, man.
You just reminded me of another funny story. This is another really cool thing about living for God. With your little speed limit comment there. My wife and I were driving to Kingsway Garden Mall in Edmonton on a Saturday because I was going to buy a shirt, right? I needed a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to do this show on video, I need a shirt. And so we were doing 10 over on the Anthony Henday Speedway. It's kind of a big ring road around Edmonton. And you can do 10 over, right? Like that's kind of the 10, we're talking kilometers, not miles. But you know that the even photo radar, all of it's calibrated for about 10 over. So if you do about 9-10 over, you're good. If you step across that line, then you're in trouble, right? So we're doing 10 over. This young guy in a souped up little kind of a sports car comes ripping up behind us, and he slams on his brakes, and I'm kind of watching him in the rearview mirror, right? And because I'm full of the Holy Ghost, I don't road rage anymore. I seriously don't. I don't road rage. I don't get angry at the drop of a hat. But this kid behind us, he is just swearing his head off, and I can see him hitting his steering wheel, and he is so mad because I'm only doing 10 over. Well, finally, the traffic next to us breaks up. He goes ripping around us and steps on it and gets back into our lane. Greg, I'm not joking. Immediately, the lights on a cop car go off on the side of the road, and he was pulled over right in front of us. And as I was driving by, I smiled at him, and I said,
"You don't do road rage, but you'll sure heckle the crap out of someone who screws up like that, right?"
Well, he did it to himself, man.
Sure,
he did it to himself. You know what I mean? And now your big hurry. Now you're seriously set back. And if you're in a big hurry because you were trying to get to work, well, now your day is going to be spent paying off a ticket because you had no control over your emotions.
That's right. On that, it's so funny on that note to just kind of tie it down, you know, when we talk about the rules, if you drive the speed limit, you won't get a speeding ticket. I want to relay that to you. I'm going to go totally baby boomer / senior generation on you, Mike, right now in that. All my buddies, and I did too, always said you can do 5 over or 8 over or 10 over the speed limit, right? Yeah. Everybody talks like that. I drove that. I'll forget that. I used to do 40 miles over the speed limit, 50. But, you know, come on, man. But it was when 100 miles an hour was actually a miles per hour, not a kilometer, man. That was my world back in the 70s. But anyway,
yeah.
I said, even with you, my old Andy Griffith lesson to you would be, that's fine, test it at 10 over, but if you get a speeding ticket for 10 over, don't cry to me. If you drive the speed limit, or even you want to drive people crazy, drive 1 or 2 under the speed limit, Mike, which is what Greg Meakin does right now in his life. You'll find out when you're really, really getting up there in age, because it's really nice to know you can't get a speeding ticket. So there's my little Andy Griffith message of the day, Mikey. If you want to ride 10 over, be prepared to pay the price if it ever comes down. How about that? There's the lesson of the day.
Bo in Oklahoma says, Mike, that could have been you, but he was speeding more than you. That was a blessing. Yeah. Oh, it was like it was instantaneous. Like, I'll tell you, pray in the morning to be protected, and then walk in fear, like you're being watched, and nobody can entrap you. And then, if they make things up about you and lie about you because you're righteous, then rejoice exceedingly, because great is your reward in heaven. That's what my Bible says. We got to go to our network break for Mojo 50 and WBN 324. I'll be back with Greg Meakin after this, and we're going to teach you more about how to become
This is the seditious, rabble-rousing, liberty-loving, home of fun, entertaining, and compelling talk. Mojo 50.
It's happened again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 2 Army helicopters crashed in midair in Alaska, a month after 9 soldiers were killed in a similar crash in the sky over Kentucky. In last night's collision,
the soldiers were returning from a training mission when 2 AH-64 Apache helicopters carrying 2 each collided in flight. 2 soldiers died at the scene, the 3rd on the way to Fairbanks Hospital, where a 4th is being treated right now. The crash happened near Healy, Alaska. That's a little more than 100 miles from their return destination of Fort Wayne.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. At least 16 people are dead in Ukraine after Russia went on the attack again. Here's Fox's Jill Nato.
The latest round of missile strikes was the first from Russia in nearly 2 months. Ukraine's Air Force managed to intercept 11 cruise missiles and 2 drones over Kyiv. But some strikes were reported on other cities like Uman, south of Kyiv.
An apartment building was hit there. And a police officer has been shot and wounded in Dallas, Texas early this morning, along with a police dog in a shootout with a suspect who was killed. Ex-Vice President Pence spoke to a grand jury for hours yesterday after former President Trump failed to block the testimony in the special counsel's investigation into 2020 Trump election fraud claims and the Capitol riot.
The questioning was done in private, but Pence said previously the same details he's given to Americans and written in his memoir he would give to the grand jury. The former VP has publicly said how the riot endangered his family and every lawmaker on Capitol Hill.
Fox's Gernal Scott in New York City. Trump lawyers cross-examined E. Jean Carroll. The author sued the former president, claiming he raped her decades ago and defamed Carroll, denying the allegations. Meanwhile, the former president, by far the Republican 2024 frontrunner, held a rally in New Hampshire, dusting off the term he used to call Hillary Clinton.
So that we can use the name for Joe Biden, because he'll be known from now on as Crooked Joe Biden.
We remind all of our listeners that the views and opinions of the show hosts and guests appearing on Mojo 50 Radio are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of Cuddle Me Buff LLC, its owners and partners, or this network. Thank you for listening to Mojo 50 Radio.
I'll bet you've noticed there are food shortages happening just about everywhere. If you think it'll get worse before it gets better, don't get caught unprepared to feed your family. Prepare with Mojo50.com.
What's your IRS problem? Do you owe back taxes? Is there a lien placed on your property? Have your bank accounts been frozen or seized? Have your wages been garnished? Are you being audited by the IRS? Are they sending you letters that demand actions and have urgent due dates? Well, solving your tax problems is as easy as calling Taxes 321. The IRS is the largest collection agency in the world. You need the best representation to give you peace of mind. You need experienced professionals that can cut through the red tape and stop the collection process. If you have a serious problem with the IRS, call the Taxes 321 network today. We'll get them off your back.
800-511-3026. 800-511-3026. 800-511-3026. 800-511-3026.
It's original. It's bold. It's patriotic. It's American. It's American Pride.
It's American Pride Roasters coffee. Historically, great coffee.
AmericanPrideRoasters.com.
Here we go.
With great mojo comes great responsibility. Mojo 50.
And crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Americanuck Radio. News, opinion, and a little irreverence from both sides of the 49th parallel. This is Americanuck Radio with Mike Filip.
Welcome back to hour 2 of Americanuck Radio. We're kind of having a kind of a more relaxed show today, I guess. Praise the Lord. Everybody, if you get a chance today, I want you to go and read the 11th chapter of Judges. Read Judges chapter 11. I was getting into it this morning. And write it down. Judges chapter 11. Greg, yeah, I couldn't help but smile at that kid as I drove by him when he was getting a ticket because he did it to himself. I've seen, you were talking about the January 6th protesting thing, and they were all infiltrated by feds and this and that. I would have assumed that if I was there that day. You wouldn't have seen me going near the building. Like, seriously, I would not. Like, if there's 2 rules, okay? If Donald Trump invites you to protest at the White House, don't go. If Joe Biden invites you into the White House, don't go. Right? If you just remember that. Like, serious, don't walk into a situation where you know that they're going to be looking. Like, it's not that I don't feel bad for those guys that are in jail, because I do. I don't think they deserve that. But I think it was dumb to go in the first place. I do. I don't think that was a good idea. Even Buffalo guy, when the cops were leading him into the, we all saw the footage.
Oh, yeah.
I would have been thinking to myself, you know what I mean? Alarm bells would have, I wouldn't have been in there in the first place. But, that was a bad idea.
Well, it's just, it's stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, what I don't understand, and I really mean this, Mike, we're talking about this, and we can talk about, like, I'll say, hey, if this was a sedition, how come the Buffalo guy was able to walk through? Why didn't the Capitol Police tackle him and arrest him, right?
Yeah.
Just like the January 6th, that the Proud Boys did something. Why didn't you arrest them, before they did their heinous crimes? But situational, Mike.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time. If my 3 sons, right? If any of my boys had done that, gone to Capitol and crossed the threshold, as you say, or walked into any kind of a precarious situation, I wouldn't circle the wagons. I'd say, what are you, dumbass? What were you thinking? What were you thinking? in a situation like that?
Yeah.
Yep. So goodness gracious, it's called situational and not being stupid. As simple as it sounds, Mike. This is the second time I'm bringing it up. But the chapter in my book about following instructions, we're talking about the police shootings. I'd watched a YouTube video where the cop had asked the perpetrator with a butcher knife, to drop the knife 36 times. You know, I'm saying 36 times without him following instructions just once. I don't want to hear the mental illness argument. I don't want to hear it. 36 times. And I said, maybe we should just do a new law where after 25 instructions, we just shoot the guy. How about that? You know, something like that. Nobody follow instructions and not be stupid when it gets into situations like that, the Capitol on January 6th. Are you kidding me? Walking into that building, climbing up on the scaffolding and stuff. I'm like, what are you, stupid?
Yeah, that was a dumb idea.
God bless you. God bless you. You don't deserve to be in jail for 2 years. God bless you. But I'll still say, what were you thinking? And I'd say that to my own kids.
Yeah, if you had it all to do over again, what would you do differently? And I'm not on a high horse, okay? You're listening to somebody that's made some serious mistakes and had to pay a price for them. But after a while, here's what happens, Greg. You get tired of being in trouble because it's not fun.
That's right. Yep. It's true, Mike. I had, let's say one of my three boys, they'll go nameless right now. One of them, he called me and said, you know, Dad, seriously, really being a good citizen and a steward and following the law, he says, I can't believe how my life's improved. As simple as it is.
Yep.
It's so true. Square away your life, clean your room, get your ducks in a row, get yourself in order. You'd be amazed how things come to you, or how life gets at least from a more positive standpoint. So there you go. Clean your own room. Get your ducks in a row. Situationally, be responsible. Behave yourself. Here we go. Still have fun. Still go out and have fun, you know. But goodness, can we all get to a little bit of sensibility, common sense, and goodness to young people? Will you follow instructions from authority, please? Please. There you go.
Yeah. So getting back into things that don't matter too much, Ron DeSantis announced he's running for president. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. The Democrats, I'm glad you brought that up, seriously. This is really in the last few days we learned, and I don't know if people knew this, but basically they have declared Biden the candidate right now. Were you aware of that, Mike?
Yes.
That he doesn't have to go through the process, doesn't have to go through debates with other rascally Democrats. You know, they're just anointing him right now. That's, by the way, that's known as fascism, either fascism or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And I would, if I had one wish with the Trump-DeSantis race, because that's all it is, it's two-man race, it's really clear DeSantis is way, way behind. If I had one wish, is that the Republicans would now follow the Democrats' business model here, and right now, this second, declare Donald Trump the candidate, just like they did with Biden. DeSantis is way behind, 16, 20%, way behind. DeSantis is the named pending vice president, and all the money that you guys would have put into fighting each other and going to the debates and everyone else, no one's going to. I'm just telling you, no one's going to unseat Trump. Sorry, it's just the way it is. Pool all your money just like the Democrats are and spend every one of those dollars on defeating Joe Biden, period. And do it right now. And see what the Democrats say. Hey, Trump, it's a Trump-DeSantis ticket, informally, of course, until we get to the convention, just like the Democrats will do. They'll anoint Biden, we'll anoint Trump, but we'll play that game. And I really hope, Mike, I hope they don't spend $1 billion, DeSantis and Trump, fighting each other, because I don't think you need to. I think you need to go win an election in 2024. I think that's what we need to do, is win an election. And so if this is a different way to do it, we're only following the Democrats' plan that they laid out this week. They just anointed Joe Biden, Mike. So there you go. There you go on that one.
On to the next thing. Have you heard of Bill C-11? It just passed the Senate in Canada. Have you heard of this new bill?
Which one was that? Which one is that?
C-11. So what it does is it puts all digital communications under the auspices of the CRTC, or the Canadian Radio Television Communications Commission, which is the Canadian version of the FCC. And I just mentioned this last night in the Americanuck Radio rebooted chat room. There was a time when I would have been seriously freaking out about this. Now I'm not, because and I think that this is going to probably hit lots of my friends, because I know a lot of the big names in Red Pill Patriot streaming online. You know what I mean? Guys that are always getting in trouble. My friend Kevin J. I think he's tired of getting in trouble because he's in it all the time. But anyway, he's coming to church here on Sunday, by the way. Kevin's coming here to church on Sunday. We'll be glad to see him.
Oh, cool.
But see, I don't think that that's going to bite us here. And the reason I say that is because I don't go on air every day and scream about Justin Trudeau.
Right.
They're not looking for me. I'm bringing people to the Word of God, right? So but yeah, it is going to, and that was why I was happy about being on Mojo 50, because it was not a Canadian radio station, right? Under CRTC. Right. I could never, ever, most likely get a job on a licensed terrestrial radio station in Canada, ever.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because they would dig into my past and they would find some transgression of their list of rules.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I had you want to know how that works. Bo says his comments don't show up on Rumble anymore. Yes, that's because I'm censoring you, Bo. I'm just kidding. I got an email from Justin Trudeau. He said, I don't want that Bo talking on the Rumble chat anymore. Anyway.
The RCMP is looking at Bo. RCMP is looking at Bo.
D had 4. Nice skyline where it at. That's Edmonton, Alberta. That's Edmonton, Alberta, where I live. Home of the Edmonton Oilers, and knife fights on public transit, and people folding downtown because they're so drugged out. My sister says that they people downtown now, she works for a law firm and right about there, and she said that people they if you're watching, they do this. They'll be folded over on the street, or they'll be looking at the sky. One of the two. There's no in between. There's no just being normal with this round of drugs that are hitting the streets right now. Again, they talk about a fentanyl crisis, okay? Don't get yourself into a stupid situation, right? Like, we're hearing about all these fentanyl overdoses, right? Okay? Right. Assume that if you call somebody to bring over an 8-ball, that it might be your last one.
Right.
Like,
right.
With all this evidence around us of the things that they talk about, the fentanyl coming in across the southern border, right? Well, if people would stop doing it, it wouldn't be coming in. I mean, that nails the problem in the bud right there.
I've been thinking about that so much. We've talked about that so much. I do believe, it sounds funny, I believe that the fentanyl crisis is a biowarfare. I really do. It's going to take out an entire younger generation. It's like nothing we've ever seen. And I'm saying, if I were dad right now and had little kids, or kids, teenage kids, what would I say? And I guess the only thing I would say right now, top of my head, is don't take any pills, period, recreationally or otherwise. Don't. Because if you don't, you can never swallow a fentanyl pill or laced fentanyl pill. I'm sure there's other things, but little rules like that, situational rules, can really go a long way to saving your life right now. Because I've never seen anything, Mike. I've never seen anything like this fentanyl, where it simply just kills you on the spot. It just kills you on the spot.
All right, so we've established
like
some rules here. Never say anything online that you wouldn't say to anybody's face. Number 1.
Correct.
Number 2,
correct.
Clean your room, be good. Number 3, don't speed. Number 4,
correct.
Never follow Donald Trump into the Capitol at a protest. Number 5, don't put yourself in a position where you could overdose on fentanyl.
Correct.
We're just straightening it all out today.
We're nailing it, man. And you know what's funny, Mike? It's true.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's true, and doesn't it sound funny that we can go through just called a really good learning mentorship type of list with rules for life that kids should learn, and it sounds like it's outdated, doesn't it? Doesn't sound very politically correct, does it? And maybe that's the whole theme of, again, almost my whole life right now is trying to marry 1950s handshake world and common sense to today's high tech and crazy world. But yes, you can establish some rules like we just did, and I think we might even have a few more coming after that, Mike.
Yeah, Val Olson says, what's an 8-ball? Now I'm a little embarrassed. I don't want to tell you how I know that. First of all, I was not always a Pentecostal preacher. Let's just leave it at that.
I don't know if
it's not good, Val. It's not good. Yeah.
I don't know if I've said this to you even off the air. It's the first time I'm sure I've said it on the air, but then I don't mind conversing about this. We're talking fentanyl. We're talking 8-ball. We're talking, I'm saying, I believe if someone out there, because I'm a very addictive personality. I mean, just period. Some people are addictive, some people are not. I eat 2 bowls of ice cream every night. I'm just an addictive guy. But I said, I know there's a God, and I mean this too, Mike. I've said this 100 times, and I really believe it. I know there's a God because with how crazy I was as a youngster, and I drank a lot, man. I was a Montreal kid, as you probably knew. And I said, but never once in my entire life have I tried cocaine. Yeah. I know there's a God because never once has it even occurred to me. Because I know if I had ever tried it once, I would not own a television set right now, Mikey. Or would be dead. Period. Yeah. So by the grace of, honestly, you and I talking to each other today in 2023, by the grace of God, go we, Mike, both of us. We've had angels, as have most people I know, have angels caring about us all our lives. Only by the grace of God, go we, man.
Yeah, that's it. And don't leave the house without praying in the morning. Seriously, pray.
Isn't it true? It's true.
Get alone.
There's another
Shut
rule.
the door and talk to your Creator. He sees it all. Lay it all out to him. He already knows, but he commanded us to pray. I'm serious. I don't want to leave the house in the morning without praying.
Yeah, add that to the list. That's a good one.
Yep. I'm lost, man.
Aren't we all?
Not my soul, but I. Hey, where were you? Where were you the other day? I hear that 100 motorcycle rowdies shut down the Bay Bridge. Where were you? Were you with the motorcycle rowdy buddies of yours, shutting down the Bay Bridge?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Is
there somebody else in the broadcast?
What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I'm just reading a headline here.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me being at the Bay Bridge.
Well, I saw motorcycle rowdies shut it down, so I figured that automatically that was you.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I want to say this too, because I just remembered this. There's a website that I look at once in a while, and it's an aggregate, okay? It's an aggregate, so they... like Drudge Report, they aggregate other stories and just post the headlines, right? Like that's what we do at Americanuckradio.com. And it's getting to the point where I even have to be careful in where I go to look at news because, and I'll tell you why, because there are people out there that are posting things in order to expose certain things that are going on in the world. And I clicked on a link that, and it took me to this website that I used to go to where they expose Illuminati symbols in advertising and the music industry and stuff. I saw something that I wished I had not put in front of my eyes. And it wasn't because I intentionally went somewhere where I knew that would be. But like you have to be careful with red pill super patriot media these days because I'll tell you, and I've said this before, if you're looking at that stuff all of the time, you're going to see things that nobody should even look at in the first place.
Right.
Like, seriously,
right.
I don't want to.
No,
there's things I don't want to see.
No.
And so, like, there's certain places I won't even go anymore.
Well, and you have to be careful, Mike. You got to be careful where you go and what you like. Little click like. I'm telling you what. You jog my memory. This will be quick, but I have a friend. I mean, who is a very, very prominent Canadian. I'll just call him a businessman right now. Very prominent guy, and he basically was fired. Like agreeing to part ways, like a Tucker thing.
Yeah.
Because he was a conservative. Can you imagine a conservative up in Canada, Mike? But because he liked on his social media the birthday card of Donald Trump.
Really?
For his birthday, he liked that, and I mean it was months or even years earlier, and it was tracked of what he liked, kind of the pages that he followed, and nothing even nefarious, just like a birthday card. This guy was literally canceled, almost out of his entire profession.
For hitting a like button.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it makes me sick. And you talked about early in the show how, and Chet in Alabama said this, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. The fall of so many of these big, big people in the last even decade or so. I mean, you're talking the Rush Limbaughs. Fell into the basement overnight with his drug addiction, with his prescription drug. You have other guys that complain. You have Tucker's the most recent one where, goodness gracious, are you telling me this guy's quote, as far as Fox News concerned, his career's over? He gets 3 million listeners a night, and his career's over just like that. I don't get it, but it definitely has something to do with the bigger you are, the more they want to take you down, Mike. And beware if you get to the top of your field. Just ask the 45th President of the United States how tough that is. You get to the top of your field, everybody wants a piece of you. And sadly, unfortunately, I can't believe it. I don't like this trait in people, but some people want to take you down. I just don't understand that because they're just so insecure about themselves or their own lives. And I never understand anyone who wants to take down another human being. But there you go. Well, welcome to the world of cancel culture, right, Mikey?
Yeah, well, and that's flesh in general. I mean, that's just what's in it, right? I mean, when the Bible says, love thy neighbor, right? It's because most people don't. Like, it's,
correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like, that's why, right? And we have a natural tendency in our flesh to be jealous, to look down on people, and to automatically be oppositional. And I fight with that. Because it's in us.
I don't know what it is about people being insecure and wanting, and so insecure and so jealous. Remember, we've talked about that with America versus Canada. Canadians have, I believe, a repressed personal jealousy of the States, or a politically immature envy of the United States and or even the Donald Trumps of the world and stuff. But it's because of their own insecurity. You know, it's because they don't have game. It's because they're insecure. They've never done, the plagiarizers of the world. In the book, again, there said plagiarizers are, blamers are buggers and plagiarizers are pukes. And that was anyone who would take the work from another man, another person, and use it for their own good. Just has no game. Go ahead and write your own stuff, but has no game. And sadly, half of the political process right now in the United States, Mike, is insecure people trying to take down really, really big, successful parties or leaders.
Yeah, 100%. And that's also with being in what people consider to be conservative media. Back in our GCN days, I used to be kind of a Stu Peters type, if you will.
Right.
Along the lines
I've listened to your old stuff.
Yeah, along the lines. I've listened to
your old stuff. You were great. You were a shock jock. You're an AM radio shock jock. You were great. I've listened to your old stuff.
Yeah, well, that's how I was, right? I wasn't living for God, and it didn't produce any righteousness in my life at all. But that's where I was at. And, oh man, you should have seen some of the emails I used to get. Like, people would accuse me of being not hard enough on Islam. Or they would say that, you know, they would accuse me of being some kind of an agent for the U.S. government trying to overthrow Canada. They would accuse me of being too pro-Canada, which I don't know where the heck they got that from. But, like even amongst, like, okay, so, you know, the attacks that you get when you are somebody that's a little bit known, right? And we were going places. We were on, you know, big affiliates in Washington, D.C. But the more you do, it's actually people that agree with you on things that start to attack you just as much as people on the opposite end of that spectrum. I've seen it.
Absolutely. Big, what it is, a house divided. I mean, so often big projects, big things, big growing radio shows like you're talking about, they collapse from within.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Big time. And that's why I say that kind of segues me, not thinking about it, but to this DeSantis-Trump ticket thing. Let's not collapse from within. I mean, let's go win an election one way or another. Swallow everybody's pride. Do what we got to do. Here we go. But house divided, right, Mike? Every time it'll take it down, man. Every time.
I would personally like to see a just for fun, a debate between President Trump and Robert F. Kennedy. I think that would be. I think Kennedy could take him out. I really do. Over the whole Operation Warp Speed thing and the vaccines.
Sure.
I think that Kennedy would give him a run. I really do. And are we going to see another Kennedy assassination in our lifetime? Is that what's going to happen here? Stay tuned. Don't go driving in Dealey Plaza, Robert. We'll be right back after our commercial break on Americanuck Radio on Mojo 50. Talking about current events that I don't care about today. Judges 11, read it. We'll be back after this.
You want to wake up refreshed, like you slept on a cloud. Get yourself the very best in bedding supplies today. You deserve it. Go to MyPillow.com and don't forget our very special promo code, Mojo50, for incredible savings.
At Greg Meakin Designs, we're more than just a laser engraving and specialty design company. Much more. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Greg Meakin Designs, and if you can dream it, we can probably make it. We can custom laser cut and engrave on nearly all material. Great for one-of-a-kind gifts, home decor, business and specialty items, or personalized and logo designs created just for you or your company. Allow us to become your go-to gift and specialty project partner. Greg Meakin Designs can help make your ideas a reality. We're ready to help you design and create that special gift for any occasion or engrave your personal or business logo on just about any product. View our designs at RoMeikaDesigns.com or simply email us with your ideas. We specialize in custom design and would be honored to have the opportunity to discuss it with you. Call us at 817-400-4040, email info@RoMeikaDesigns.com, or visit us on the web at RoMeikaDesigns.com.
5 major food distributors have suffered explosions at food processing and storage facilities in the last few months. 20 more facilities have been destroyed by fires over the last 4 months. War in Ukraine drags on and holds the looming threat of nuclear escalation. U.S. inflation is officially reported above 8%. Mobs of people are whipped into frenzy by an increasingly unstable class of political elites. We live in interesting times. Political, economic, and financial collapse are all very real threats to our way of life. If the worst happens, make sure you and your loved ones are prepared with emergency food and supplies from preparewithmojo50.com. That's preparewithmojo50.com. AmericanuckRadio.com. Coffee lovers everywhere now have the opportunity to do their part to save the planet with Al Gore's lab-grown coffee substitute. We, here at Coffee Drinkers for Climate Change, believe this is a terrible idea. While man-bun-wearing, soy latte-loving poodle walkers everywhere are in love with the eco-friendly lab-grown sadness water, Coffee Drinkers for Climate Change want to see the sea levels rise. And for New York City to join the lost city of Atlantis, 12,000 leagues beneath the sea.
American Pride Roasters, historically great coffee. Every pot brewed is an eco-disaster 100 times greater than the Fukushima extinction level event. So order yours today and do your part to hasten the end of the planet. You don't want to live forever, do you? AmericanPrideRoasters.com. That's AmericanPrideRoasters.com.
How dare you?
We dare. We dare.
Flat Earth, the moon landing, JFK, 5G, Biden won the election. Hey, lovelies, does anyone have any new conspiracy theories? Because all the ones I know have come true. Join me, Ria Bo, here on Sunday Long Live Radio, live every Sunday of the year, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard, 10 a.m. UK, and 9 p.m. New South Wales. I'll see you Sunday.
Americanuck Radio.
I would say the world's most underrated radio shows. Americanuck Radio. This guy, Mike Filip, is brilliant. I listen to him every day. Love your show. I really do. I'm a huge fan. Thank you for doing what you're doing.
Americanuck Radio.
Well, God loves the outlaw, but he doesn't love the sin. Well, God loves the outlaw, but he doesn't love the sin. Just open up your heart to Jesus, and he'll surely let you in.
Americanuck Radio.
Well, God loves the outlaw, but he doesn't love the
Last segment on Americanuck Radio, 9th hour prayer coming up at the end of the show here today. And I think there's people out there very disappointed that I didn't do a Bible study today because that's what we normally do on the show. But I'll tell you, it's not always easy. It's not. If you come up with a 2-hour Bible study every day, every single day, do it every day. Do it. Yeah. And show up every day and do it. Like I love what I do, okay? Don't get me wrong. I love seeing God move, but it is not always easy doing a Bible study every single day. So if you're shaking your head and thinking, "Oh, Mike Filip, you have fallen so far," well, you try it sometime. Amen. Show me how it's done. I wish you all the success in the world. I really do. But, so we started talking about RFK running on the Democrat platform. I remember when they had the whole big pharma thing nipped in the bud, and Trump turned around and kind of, he didn't do it. He didn't do what he said he was going to do. And so I think that, honestly, the last thing Trump wants to do is get on a debate stage with RFK.
You know, Trump's not a good debater. He's not a good public speaker. People think he is. But from a media standpoint and from a corporate standpoint, boardroom standpoint, he breaks all the rules. One thing I do like personally about the DeSantises of the world, and there's other, they're perfect media-wise. They don't make mistakes on mic. They don't do unforced errors. And Trump does 10 unforced errors a day with his tweets, right? So I don't, I would be really interested to see Trump debate a Kennedy like that. I don't know what either Kennedy or Newsom would bring to the table as far as a candidate. I just cannot dream they'd ever win anything. I mean, but that's just me. Anything can happen now. But it'd be interesting, if anything. Kennedy, tell you what, and there's a lot of people like this, just like Kennedy, and even Bill Maher and Jon Stewart. A lot of them are bringing a lot more common sense to the table. Maybe that we used to see common sense in the JFK Democrat days. JFK Democrats, where they're bringing common sense. They're hawkish as far as, the military and, robust foreign policy and peace at home and take care, safety net, take care of our older folks, our needy folks, and just kind of a practical point of view. And I do see that with some of the Democrats right now. I don't think they're electable. But I do see a lot of that, at least pragmatism across the aisle a little bit, Mike.
It seems like the less electable you are, the more you win these days. And it's obviously by fraud, right? But I'm kind of to the point where I just expect it. You know what I mean?
Right. That's the tipping point people want to come to, Mike. And honestly, I'm looking at 2024 as going to be a big tipping point for me. I've called it kind of the last bastion, the fork in the road. It's a Robert Frost poem. It's where do we go? Where does the United States go? Do they go, quote, right or left? Do they go globalist, Euro-nationalist model like everybody is trying to get us to do? Or do they go constitutional patriotism like half the country is trying to promote right now? Which way do they go? And it's existential to me, and I'm really concerned about the 2024 election, but I'm in it. And I say this is a personal thing. I jumped into politics back in 2015, as did a lot of people, when I felt the Hillary Clinton election was an existential thing. If she got elected, I think it was going to be really, really bad for the country and really existential as far as the direction in the world. And then we don't even want to talk about the last election, but this has energized people, at least common sense, loving folks who love God and love the country and love our families. It really bugs us to see the country going in this direction. In 2024, I am shouting to the rooftops because I'm not a political guy. I was a business guy, Mike. I was a business guy. I voted, but I wasn't involved, wasn't an activist, and still, quote, am not. I'm just speaking my mind. But 2024, man, and I've told some very close friends of mine who are heavily involved in politics, as you might know down here, and I've said, this is 2024 is the biggest deal of our entire country's history, because we can decide. The one thing I do have faith in, more than Canada, I do have faith in the republic model here, and you can kick out loser presidents every 4 years. There's no such thing as no confidence vote, blah, blah. It's just every 4 years we smash each other's face in. Whoever wins becomes the president. And you've heard me talk about this, Mike, the last election, I've never seen anything like it. When Biden was inaugurated, I've never seen anything like it. He had signed 63 executive orders in the first week it was in office, and the country's been a disaster since. So I could say any new president, 2024, a Donald Trump, a Ron DeSantis, can sign 62 executive orders and still not exceed Biden. So let's do that, shall we? Let's use their playbook on that. But 2024, I think, is really the last shot at it, at least in my generation, Mike, in my generation.
I get it, Greg, but I thought that in 2016, too, and I thought that when Obama got in, and you know what I mean? I've been here before.
Yeah. Exactly. And honestly, I mean it too. I'm mature enough. My wife and I have chatted about this. You're mature enough to say, okay, if in 2024 something happens that is insane, which is everything we've seen in the last 5-6 years has been insane. Justin Trudeau getting reelected, Joe Biden getting elected, John Fetterman getting elected, stuff that we just cannot believe it's happening before our eyes. But I really do believe, I will not get off the glasses half full, that we have a shot of righting the ship a little bit, or at least righting the ship starting in November 2024 with a federal election down here.
How is your buddy Sheriff Mark Lamb, by the way? I saw that he was on Tucker Carlson's old time slot the other night. I turned it on just to see what they were going to do. And I almost felt sorry for Brian Kilmeade, like putting a guy in that position. You know that he's going to be You know, he's the guy that has to take the show when everybody walks away from it.
Sure. You know, and everyone's saying the next day, oh, the ratings dropped under Kill Me. Well, of course they did. It's not Tucker.
They expected that. They expected that. They knew that was going to happen. But what they also think, I know how these things work. The public is very fickle. It is. You're going to forget about Bud Light in a little while. You are. And, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and I've learned that because, you know, people were jumping up and down about pharmaceutical companies, right? So what I did was I went and tried to find a way. Okay, so let's get everybody a way to stop paying them through their household products, hygienic products, cleaning, stuff like that. And I did. And we set it all up. We've got this great line of products on the website. Nobody would go for it. Nobody, because it's too easy to complain about Johnson and Johnson. But it's all but I'm not going to stop going to Walmart and buying the products that actually make them their money. Right? Like, people love to complain, but they don't want to do anything. Like, that's what I found. Same with the thing with the ERC benefits. Right? I was talking to Leo. I was talking to, everybody they talk to about this is so afraid of the IRS that they'd rather avoid taking those funds and let the IRS have the $5 trillion.
Right. There's a statistic out there, a psychiatric statistic, that 80% of human beings will not take a risk or take a step out like that, and it really is the other 20% that tend to, and I think that kind of answers that. I honestly think it. On one hand, it kind of makes me sad, but not really. People are people. Is a lot. They of are,
and I'm not judging them. I'm just saying.
No, they just don't want to lift a finger, and I get it. I mean, I get it, especially as more and more hopelessness comes over the country, watching elections and watching our moves and watching our prices and watching TV every day. Yeah. But still, I believe the human nature, Mike, and I think it's 80%, honestly, they're what's called bandwagon jumpers. And it's a cliche, but it's true. They'll jump onto something as long as they know there's no risk, and that basically the legwork's been done by the leaders, is what it is. But they will jump on. I think I've told you this many times in past episodes. I think consumers and people, human beings, way overrate themselves, way overrate their own morality, the way they do business, a lot of things. But either way, I think it just proves the same point that no matter what, apathy is winning the day for the most part with the majority of Americans and Canadians. And I don't blame them in some ways, Mike. I don't blame them. But that doesn't mean now is not a time to lift a finger. Right now, I even say between now and Election Day 2024. And it means a lot to Canada, I'll tell you what. Canada does not have this republic model. I couldn't believe Trudeau was reelected, especially not getting the popular vote. But Canada does not have that mechanism of being able to dump a loser president every 4 years and technically start over. So because of that, Canada better be watching the U.S. election real close because what happens in this next presidential election, I really, really believe, Mike, is existential for everybody north and south of the border and worldwide for that matter.
Well, and yeah, I mean, it's funny when you said apathy at the same time. Madeline in Calgary over in the Americanuck radio chat room said Canada can't choose every 4 years. Trudeau decided Canadians were too overcome with COVID and put himself in for a second term, not the people. Yeah. And no one complained. Apathetic Canadians. Go ahead and shoot me, eh? Yeah, I've noticed the same thing, Madeline. Definitely, there is a lot of apathy out there. Yeah. But at the same time, too, there's a lot of phony outrage.
Oh, yeah. I want to talk to the people that have maybe given up hope. I've had years and years where I've given up hope. I still to an extent, the more I learn about the news every day today, it's an invitation to give up hope. The stuff we've talked about today that bugs me is an invitation to give up hope. But I want to talk to the people who maybe feel hopeless and feel there's nothing they can do about it. If there's one time to do something, it is now. And I really mean it. I don't think these shows and stuff are by chance, Mike. I don't think the people out there who are promoting the word and conservatism and God and stuff, that's not by chance. I think something's going on. I think it's an error. I think it's a wave. But now is the time. Timing is everything. And even if people, and believe me, most of the people don't vote. They don't lift a finger. I don't blame again. I haven't done the door knocking and the political activism, but now is the time to do something looking towards 2024. And you mentioned Mark Lamb, Sheriff Lamb, and I want to tell you, Mike, if you want to hear kind of the inside of politics and stuff, just listen and chat with someone who's just started a Senate run, United States Senate run. You wouldn't mind me at all chatting about this, but our wonderful mutual friend, Val Olson, featured a really nice, really great interview of Mrs. Lamb, Janelle Lamb. It's on her Twitter space. It's on her Twitter account. Her Twitter space is @Home Media Mom. But the inside scoop of a couple running for it, because it's always a team, running for the U.S. Senate, their schedule has doubled and or tripled of what they of busyness, of requests for interviews, on and on and on, the funds that he has to raise. But the inside scoop is this is a gentleman. I'm really surprised he ran for Senate, but I now know why he did. He never planned on being an elected politician, a Congress or Senate. He was looking for executive positions, whether it's a governor, executive position like a Ron DeSantis. But he was moved, be the first to tell you, and Mrs. Lamb was the first to tell Val Olson, that they were moved by God to do something, to do whatever they can in their power, to lift a finger on their end, to do what they can do to take our country back. And as it turns out, I've mentioned this in the past and written about it, I think Sheriff Lamb's going to be the 51st of the deciding vote in the Senate. The Senate's going to go back Republican. I think he's going to be the deciding vote on a lot of things. So I'll take that. But I'll also really reach out to folks that they're not the Sheriff Lambs. They're not the Greg Meakins and Mike Phillips on the air all the time and having a platform. But do what you can do. If you can vote in a referendum, vote. Don't sit on the sidelines. Don't wait to see how things go. Vote, and vote now because you can. I think that's my second rant of the day, Mikey, so thank you for letting me go there. But isn't it true?
I'm a little embarrassed to say I haven't voted in a long time, but as far as I'm considered by the respective governments of the place, the province, and the country that I live in, I don't actually exist, and so I don't blame them for not sending me a ballot. I don't
Mike,
exist.
You exist, my friend. You exist, my friend. You know that. We've talked about this story of you and the Canadian government. No, you exist. You're existing right on this radio show. You're doing what you can do. You're lifting a finger. You're talking to me right now. You're talking to your listeners right now. You are preaching the Word of God every day, 7 days a week, even when you take 2 hours on a Friday for Dueling-Citizens. By the way, Greg Meakin's a terrible influence on Mike Philip, and it's always been the way with my friends in my life anyways. For 2 hours a day, we get to talk about stuff like this. And I would ask, as a side note to that, everyone out there who would prefer God Love You, Bible study or whatever, to Dueling-Citizens with Greg Meakin every Friday, or Greg freaking Meakin, as they say, forgive Mike. Please just forgive him. That's all I say. Because these are really, really important shows. I mean this, Mike. I mean this from my heart. I've told you this before. It's important to me, and I know it's important to you.
Another thing,
and you know what? We share great knowledge. We share great knowledge with our listeners, Mike. So if anything, forgive Mike for the 2 hours of bad influence, Greg Meakin. And let's go on to the other 6.5 days of worshiping God and doing what we should be doing.
Greg Meakin is a bad man. There's another story that I wanted to bring up. The Congress just passed a law making sure that AI or artificial intelligence does not have the authority to cause a nuclear launch in the United States, that there's always a human involved. And I was reading that and I was thinking, well, which human would you want involved, and would you trust it over the AI? Number one. Number two, this listen to this, Greg. My dad wrote a movie script when I was, I think right around the time I was born or a year or two before. But listen to this. It's almost like prophecy, okay? In the movie script that my dad wrote, and I remember him telling this story, and he would play the album I, Robot by the Alan Parsons Project because he had set the story with this music as the soundtrack. And listen, in his story, and I'm abbreviating this, but tell me if this isn't prophecy. The United States was divided between gay and straight states. And the gay states started kidnapping children from the straight ones because they couldn't have any kids. And then this computer that humans made, this AI, wiped out all of humanity. And that was in like 1973 he wrote that.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that before, but seriously, that is prophecy. He talked about the division. It's the division. And I'll tell you, did that manuscript ever go anywhere? Is there a copy of it anywhere?
I've asked him if he has it, and he points at his head and he says it's in here.
Oh, seriously. Because honestly, if that were time stamped in the 70s, that is prophecy, Mike. It's prophecy of political division and cultural divide.
Right. Hey, by the way, how's your referendum going? Madeline just said votes don't matter in Alberta, only Ontario and Quebec. Our system is broken. Alberta 51, only hope. How's your referendum going?
That's right. It's going really. It's actually. It's really going well. We have both individuals voting, not only from the Alberta 51 group, but elsewhere. There are, last count, Mike, 103 cities from all around Alberta where there's at least one vote. Number one city voting is Calgary. Number 2, Edmonton. Number 3 is, I think, Medicine Hat. Medicine Hat and Red Deer are neck and neck. But anyhow, the key, though, and I want to mention this to you, I brought this up to you a couple of weeks on the show. I'm talking to groups who want to speak with one voice, including pastors. And I think we talked about that a little bit, but there are a lot of groups that just, and I don't know where it will go, whatever, but I have a funny feeling their voices will be heard and their votes will count as a group, which is sometimes just not realistic. There are groups out there where everybody can't physically get to the polls or does not have an internet connection or whatever. There's more disenfranchised voters out there, not only in Alberta but around but Canada and around the United States, where again they don't feel their vote counts and blah blah blah. The key right now for folks is to vote on that website. It's really simple. You literally can do it from the comfort of your own home, from your favorite chair. Pick up a cell phone and vote. It is Alberta51vote.com, Alberta51vote.com, and just real simple. Right now, it's very, very important. June 30th is the deadline. It's actually vote tally day, so we'll never, ever know what the final count is. Just ask Carrie Lake on that one. You never know what the final count is. But right now, I want to tell you, and I'm really surprised with this. We might have to do a marketing campaign just to find some no's, because there's so many yeses, Mike. It's unbelievable, the disenfranchisement out there. But all I say to folks is make sure you vote. There are a lot of people that have not voted, Mike, including just a lot of folks up in Alberta have not voted yet. So they need to. And on June 30th, we'll find out what the total is, what the projection is, to answer one question. Do you want Alberta to be the 51st state of the United States? Yes, no, or undecided. And results will come out June 30th. Projection will come out. And I honestly think, Mike, I think there are going to be some surprises for the establishment. And that's all I can say right now. I just do. But bottom line, there's a lot of votes and work and those cliches. A lot of things to do, a lot of work to do between now and June 30th. And I encourage everybody to do that. Do whatever you can do, and most importantly, vote. Some people out there, Mike, I got to be honest, the last thing they think about doing is actually voting. The vote is the only thing we need in this conversation right now, because as I say, in the United States, when it comes to the U.S. Senate, 49% doesn't cut it, Mike. 49% doesn't cut it to America. So it's got to be over 50 and hopefully overwhelmingly over 50%. So there you go. It's going well. You'll be hearing a lot of it down the road, especially in our Friday shows as they roll out here in May, Mike.
We're just about out of time, Greg. Is this the weekend that you're meeting up with Pastor Rios?
No, but that's coming up. He's going to be in Gilbert, Arizona. I told him I will be wherever he is, whenever he is.
Oh, I'm sure that he'll be happy to see you and Deb.
Oh, it'll be great. I mean, it'll be great. I'm looking forward to that. I think maybe it's for next episode. I actually visited Andy Combs' church and established connection there. That's almost like a 30-minute segment, Mike. It's deeply moving. But anyhow, things going well down in here in Arizona. Our little team, our little Arizona 48 delegation, which is Greg Meakin, Val Olson, Gordon Kessler, Sheriff Mark Lamb, and guess what? Mike Filip, the main cheerleader of Alberta 51 on the airwaves, my friend. So there you go. Things are going just fine, Mike, just fine. And I hope for everybody in Alberta, they go more fine as June 30th approaches, and we go from there. It's just the beginning. June 30th is just the beginning. And then the work begins to work with UNSN and stuff. But don't let me down, Albertans. Don't let me down. And I mean it. Vote. Okay? So there you go. Back to you, Mike. I should have been in politics, man.
It's not too late, Greg. Maybe you could run for your local dog-catcher or something.
No, true story. I promise you, true story. You just jar my pre-dementia, Mikey. My mom.
Real quick, 1 minute.
Yeah. Okay, 1 minute. Just take a minute. My mom, when I started getting successful in Seattle in the auto industry, she said, "Why don't you go and come back to Canada and be in politics? Be a politician." I said, "If I ever went back to Canada, Mom," true story, I said, "I would form a party whose sole goal is to kick Quebec out of Canada unconditionally. No more equalization, no anything, get out."
Boy, he hates Quebec. Everybody have a blessed weekend. 9th hour prayer coming up. Sorry to cut you off.
This is the seditious, rabble-rousing, liberty-loving, home of fun, entertaining, and compelling talk. Mojo 50.